now. Hey everybody, how are you? It is beautiful hot weather in sunny Chicago. So we're so excited. We've got a great twist here today on an amazing woman that we're going to interview. And it's so exciting because we have people that come across our paths, and this lady had come across Lori's path. And so with that, I'm going to say, Lori, how are you doing? Can you help introduce our guest speaker?
Sure will. Debbie, first of all, how are you doing?
Good, good. Good day.
I'm excited because you know what? God has brought me in so many different paths, like we talked about. And I met this lady. I believe it or not, we help out at the food pantry on Thursdays and sitting next to her and talking and finding out her amazing story about how she writes these books, these mystery books, and she's a well-known author. And I thought, oh my gosh, we have to interview her. We have never had anybody that has written mysteries or books like this, and she's just amazing. But without further ado, I just have to introduce her. Her name is Barb Croker, but she goes by, her books are called by Babs L. Murphy. Nora Duffy Mysteries is basically in the books that she has. So with that, Barb, how are you today?
Great, and I'm so privileged that you have asked me to do this, and I'm excited to our audience. So I want to thank both of you, Lori and Debbie. I only met Lori a few times, and Debbie, I'm just meeting today. I think God puts people in our lives for a reason, and so let's ask for His grace for everyone today. So my name is Croker. And I want to share with you a little about my background and how I came to write my cozy mystery stories. They take place in Chicago and in Ireland, and there are four of them published so far: Murder at Duffy Hall Castle, The Golden Horseshoe Murder, and Death Wears a Four-Leaf Clover. A fourth book is about to come out, 40 Shades of Illusion, and it's based on the fact that there are 40 shades of green in Ireland. So my parents were part of the greatest generation. My dad, Doug Murphy, was born in Nativity of Our Lord Parish in Bridgeport, and he went to school with the old Mayor Daley. My mom lived in a little rural Wisconsin town. Her dad, during the summer, was a farmer, and during the winter, he cut big blocks of ice and sent them to Chicago and Milwaukee. It's a kind of a twisty, turny story as to how they met and got married, but they were married at St. Agnes Church on June 23rd, 1933, at the height of the Depression. They thought they couldn't have children, but finally, after 8 years, I came along and they poured into me all the love of God and hopes and dreams they had. And I had the happiest of childhoods, for which experts say there is no substitute. They moved to a pretty little house in St. Christina 2 weeks before I was born. So I only lived in one place before I was married. It was the start of the baby boom, and there were endless friends to play with. I went to St. Christina Grammar School, and the Springfield Dominicans taught me music and a love for writing, and we relentlessly practiced diagramming sentences, and we spelled everything we could. I went to St. Louis Academy High School in Roseland. It's an area similar to Bridgeport with national churches every 3 blocks or so. I was first a writer for our school paper, The Flame, and then later an editor. So I continued my writing schools. Just before I was about to graduate from high school, God threw a curve to my happy little life. My darling father died of a sudden heart attack. My mom hadn't worked in many years, and there was a younger brother to support. So I went to work downtown at a brokerage firm on LaSalle Street. They were delighted to have a good Catholic school girl with my good spelling and typing skills. And for several years, I typed up their stock certificates on an IBM Selectric typewriter, and I was honed my proofreading skills. I felt bad that I hadn't been able to go to college, but God had a plan in mind for that too. I started to attend nights and weekends at Loyola University downtown, and that's where I met my husband. We lived in Oak Park after we were married, and I wrote articles for the St. Edmund Parish Bulletin. Our first four children were born in Oak Park. And then when my mother got sick, we moved to the south side, to St. Barnabas Parish, where we had two more children. I've lived in our parish for more than 60 years, and I continue to write articles for our parish bulletin. I have a large group of wonderful friends. Over the years, whenever I went to a library, it occurred to me that there were thousands of books with authors' names on them, and I wondered if someday one of my books might appear on one of their shelves, but I was too busy to do much at that time. I was married to my dear husband, Don Croker, for 58 years before he died from COVID in 2020. We have 6 children, Don Jr., Monica, Doug, Maureen, David, and Melissa, 12 grandchildren, and 4 great-grands. I'll skip over the details of most of those years, but the highlights were that I learned how to become an adult Catholic by means of prayer, God's grace, and the good example of many people. I was involved in many activities at the parish and schools, and I became a professional career woman. I spent 18 years at Arthur Andersen working for the head of worldwide human resources with responsibilities for 200,000 people. Then 10 years working at the Archdiocese of Chicago, Cardinal George councils. Then another 10 years working for a consulting firm in the Sears Tower. All of those things contribute much to my abilities to think and to write. So now I come to the gist of our story today, which is how did a little girl from Chicago to be a published author? My mother always maintained that it's an ill wind that bears nothing good. My husband had been ill for many years and had 8 major operations. During the last 2 years of his life, he could no longer get up by himself or walk, although his mind was still good. We were both stuck inside the house, and he couldn't be left alone. Another complication for me was that I had been undergoing aggressive chemo and radiation for triple-negative breast cancer, and I was tired. Our children were as helpful as they could be, but I found myself getting depressed. I knew that we both needed a diversion, and I asked the Holy Spirit for his help. I began to wonder if I could fulfill my old dream of writing a book. Fortunately, we live in an age of the internet, so I looked up tips for those who want to be an author. One statistic I recall was that only 1% of all the people who think about writing a book actually do it and get published. I've always been competitive, and I took that as a challenge. I quickly decided I didn't want the book to be nonfiction. I knew a little about a lot, but I didn't know how much time I had left to learn to be an expert. When I took the train downtown to work, I often read mystery stories, so I was pretty good at knowing what they should look like. I loved Chicago, and I loved Ireland, where my grandparents were from, and I decided to make that the location of the book. So they're half in Chicago and half in Ireland, although by the 4th book, they're doing a little more traveling around. I wanted to write a cozy mystery story, but it took me a while to decide what it would be like. Cozy just means the murders are not so brutally vicious or bloody. I gave myself 3 months to make a start, and I put together the first 3 chapters, which I sent to a few of my kids and friends. They liked it, so I embarked on the journey to write the first book, which I entitled Murder at Duffy Hall Castle. All the characters are fictional, but they're based on people and places I've experienced during my life. My heroine is Nora Duffy, who lives in Beverly and is a pediatric brain surgeon. She's very short and she has a head full of bushy and curly red hair and is known as an Irish warrior princess. The only problem I had was thinking up stories for about the villains in the story. I'm not used to thinking evil thoughts like they do, but I turned to some famous mystery writers like Agatha Christie and P.D. James for that help. I like the process of writing, and although I did online, I also kept paper workbooks, one for what was going on in each chapter, and one to remind myself of who the various characters were. I was fortunate that I had a very talented son, Dave, who helped design the book covers for me. I gave myself a year to get the book done. I didn't have much room to do all this, so I set up a little table in the corner of the dining room as office. I did a tremendous amount of research, but I used a pen name, Babs L. Murphy, as my author name, just in case I said something that turned out to be inaccurate. I found a publisher, Newman Springs, who helps people get self-published and doesn't cost too much, and I got started. I approached it as I would a school assignment or a work project, and I made myself work on it every day, well, mostly at night, since my husband laid so much care during the day. The books are of medium length, a little more than 300 pages. I learned from Charles Dickens to have good opening and closing sentences for the book as a whole, and for each of the chapters to get the readers to stay interested. The entire process for the first book from conception to publication did take just about a year, and it was pretty thrilling to see my finished book with my pen name on it, Babs L. Murphy. As I was writing book one, I also got ideas for future books, and the first three books are now available on Amazon, while the fourth book is just about ready to be released. I still find it rather unbelievable that I was able to do all this, but nothing is impossible for those who love the Lord, ask for his help, and keep working hard. I'm always in the process of reading something on my Kindle, and I'm always writing something. I'm working on a children's book about a bashful moose who lives in Yellowstone National Park, and a biography about my darling mom, Peg Murphy, who taught me everything I needed to know before I went to kindergarten. I'm also writing some music for our choir with a particular focus on St. Barnabas, whose name means son of encouragement. So thank you very much for letting me do this today. It's been a pleasure, and I'd love to know more about all the other things that you do.
I have something to
Wow.
say. Barb, you did something. Can you lift up? You said you have your books with you. Can you just kind of lift them up and kind of show like a little like so we could see actual cover?
So let's see.
There you go. We're good. Okay. Wow. Nice. Like
Yep.
wow.
Yes. So you can see it's fairly long. And here is the second one,
Okay.
and it's called The Golden Horseshoes Murders.
Okay.
And the third one, which is one of my favorites, is called Death Wears a Leaf Clover. So this is the villain is coming down the stairs on this big island right off the coast of Sneak called the Skellig Mike Islands. And then this is the one that's about to come out. It's called 40 Shades of Illusion.
Wow. Amazing.
She
Amazing.
amazing. I mean, she is just absolutely amazing. You know, like I said, I was sitting right next to her, didn't even know that this lady had all this going for her. And I'm just so inspired by her. Barb, your story is amazing. And you know what's really so wonderful about you is your faith in God. And you know, Debbie and I both have a very strong faith in God. And we don't know what we would do without our faith.
Right.
And that's what's so inspiring about it.
Yeah.
You could get your books like what on Amazon? Where else could you get your books?
Um, I know that they're available at Bookies Bookstore in Beverly. And I think that if a book wants to get them, to order them because they're on the World Wide Web as a so
Okay. All right. So I know I looked up your name before and there was, references and stuff for your books. And I mean, it's so exciting to hear all the different things and the idea of mystery. And the thing is, it's all happening in Chicago and then you have to try to Ireland. So,
yeah. Well,
I,
and people
but
tell me I like books because I talk about a lot of places. So I talk about the bakery in Beverly and Palermo's on and so
guys, I can't wait to read them. I really can't wait and stuff. Do you know if the local libraries would have it?
if they don't have them, they can order them. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. That sounds good, Debbie, because I know Debbie and I like to look at Hoopla with the libraries to
Yeah.
download and that. So, Debbie, you have any other questions or anything?
No, I just think it's very awesome. Now, have you ever written any, like you're saying that you're going to do some more books. Have you ever considered doing some small, like easy, like children's books, like simple books?
I'm writing that one about the Bash
Okay, okay. That's the one you're writing. Okay.
Yellowstone National Park.
Okay, that's the one. All right.
So because other moose make fun of him because his antlers are too, legs are too, but it's a lot of dreams, a lot saving the herd. And
Aw.
he finally does. So
You know, I'm going to put a lot of this information out on our promo for this and on the website. And like I told you, Barb, we could put anything on our Facebook page that's promoting any of your stuff. And if you can't do it, I will do it for you because you don't have a Facebook page, correct? I'm going to try to help you set up that. Okay. That's going to be my goal for you. All
What
right.
about though, do you
Because
have Instagram though? Do you have an Instagram page?
I haven't done any of that stuff.
Isn't that cool that you don't have that and you've done this so far? Think about what will happen when you get that going, how it'll blow things up more.
Yeah.
Seriously, you know? Okay, so I'm excited that we have all this information. We're gonna be able to help you with Barb. Any new books as they come out and get released, we can put them up on our stuff. You'll have full access to it. Loria will help you with that. Maybe she can talk to your son too, because these are quick, easy things. These are that we can have. And I'm just really feeling very blessed that you guys met. And my mom would always say everything happens for a reason, and people come in our path for a reason. And look at how we make new friends. And you can actually even bring friends to us even now. I mean, we're gonna all have connections, and probably more than likely we have more connections we don't even realize because we're all from this area. It doesn't matter where you live. But Laura, you want to close us out? And again, Barb, I'm just gonna say thank you so much for spending time with us. Laura, you want to close us out?
Well,
thank you, too.
I would,
Barb. It's such a pleasure to have you. And Debbie, thank you for always being you. And with that, everybody enjoy the day, enjoy the weekend, and we'll see you later. Goodbye, everyone.
Have a
Bye.
good day. Bye, guys.
Take care. Bye.